No, it does. It does, especially with the example you gave with Dolly before.
Yeah.
It only understands diversity to the extent that it's being taught. Doesn't mean it's perfect. So you can't expect the tool to be politically correct and be compliant if the compliance data was never fed to the tool. It can only, as I always think about it, is like it's we are as intelligent as the exposure we have, right? It's, if you pick somebody from a tribe and expect them to understand the 84, 85 different gender types right now that exist, you can't expect them to understand that. It's not their fault. It has to be brought up to speed, and once it's up to speed, they'll be fine. But if you just take them out of the tribe all of a sudden and put them in an environment like this, they won't understand, right? They only understand male and female. That's all they understand. But then the other varieties, which are all important, that the modern world has introduced, somebody has to give them the vernacular. I think AI is no different. AI is we're giving our kids the exposure, same exposure the tool needs. But now I think to your point about governance is that it's important who is giving it the information, right? And are they giving the information in the right context?
That's an excellent point. It's not just who's giving the information, but also who's checking, so that's fact check.
Yeah.
So it has to be
great. I think like anything else, technology always has pros and cons, right? I don't think the world's going to die anytime soon. AI is not going to take over the world, but it's a conversation that it's a very... I have two girls, 8 and 10. There's a constant conversation about AI. Should I use it in my homework? Right?
Oh, I know.
Is that the right thing to do? And that's a very interesting answer, because you don't want to push them away in leveraging a tool, especially as you're looking for as an entrepreneur. Here's a tool that can 10x productivity, but you're telling them it's a cheating, so don't do it. And that's what they're learning, right? So it's a very interesting balance that you have to manage and maintain about how can they discern where they should use it and where they should not use it, and to what extent.
And this breaches into the philosophical question of, at what point are you ready to know, is the information you're given garbage, or is the information, and how to check to see if it's garbage.
Correct.
So as adults post some experience, you hope that you're reading this information. It's like any information that we get on through the media. What is garbage and what isn't?
Correct.
We have to check the sources and see if we can triangulate using other independent sources. And then maybe there is some substance to it. A lot of us want to take the easy route and just accept what's given. And that's the danger. That's where human intelligence is going to be much more required, and just disseminating between, thinking like sheep and really proactively looking for the tools that enhance our lives and make the work that we do that much faster and better.
No, perfectly, Michelle. And thank you for bringing that up. So, Michelle, for somebody who's in their wealth creation journey, and wealth in terms of financial, because I'm bringing it back to the syndication world right now, and the real estate world, how can they use AI? Not as a syndicator. Syndicator would be to enhance and bring more productivity to business level. Have you seen tools and AI being used for passive investors?
Absolutely. So you can easily use ChatGPT to write letters, to your partners, for instance, on any issues that you might have, any topics you have, communication with your broker. So it could be, any brokerage, Fidelity, Quest, Entrust. If you have self-directed, you can use it to write emails, professional emails to your colleagues and other, depending on how passive and active you are. If a lot of those who are passive investors in my group also have their single family homes or Airbnb, so you're still having to write letters in compliance to your lawyers, or, it's great. It's great for first drafts. Let's put it this way. It's fantastic for first draft. Gives you an idea, gives you structure, and this is where you do the iteration, the fine tuning, the customization that's needed to make it your own.
Perfect. And Michelle, I know you have developed an AI based software which could help passive investors. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. So my background has been econ. I'm a bit of an econ nut. I studied that both in graduate school and undergrad. And so I triangulated kind of like the three things that I love very much, economics, technology, and real estate. And with the help of a developer friend of mine, created an AI tool that I would love to offer some of your listeners. The first 10 that reach out to me directly, I'd be happy to give them access to. It's a very simple tool on how to identify using the large economic indicators, population growth, median household income, job growth, home prices over a certain period of time, but also climate change issues and landlord or tenancy laws. And so I folded all these different factors and put it together into a nice AI format. It will do the analytics for you and compare the different target cities. It's focused on the top 300 cities across the U.S. only. So if you're looking to invest in or look at moving to a small rural town in Wyoming, it's not going to give you that. But any of the larger cities across the country, it will give you those metrics.
Yeah, I think I'll just add some context to it. So whenever you're investing in a property, in a deal, in an opportunity, it could be real estate or not, you're looking at some economic indicators, right? So, for example, if you're buying a real estate, you want to see that are people moving in there or are people moving out of there? So is there a positive population growth or negative population growth, right? So it's important for you to understand that. Same's true for jobs. Are the jobs growing? Is it becoming the Detroit in 1980s or is it becoming the Detroit in 2023? And the patterns and things change, right? So things like that, you need access. Now, can you find access to this information online? You can. Just like, can you write your own research report? You can, right? But going back to the premise of the AI, the premise of the AI is it'll help you create some leverage in your existing world. And that's really a tool like that with Michelle can play a big role into it, where, you can plug in, you can go to a website which has already consolidated all the information and it's on a real-time basis. It's not like there's a lag. And also giving you a starting analysis on it. I've used the tool. I'm still continuing to use the tool. I'm still learning a lot on the tool itself. But I would encourage to at least have a conversation with Michelle, reach out, and then see how this tool could be helpful in your journey as a passive or as an active. Because even as a passive investor, you can take your sponsor's word it's a good market, right? The biggest responsibility for a passive investor is to vet the sponsor, right? And if your sponsor has picked a wrong market for you, doesn't mean it's a wrong market. It doesn't suffice your needs and your goals. That may or may not be the right sponsor for you. Or it may be because you learned something else from the sponsor's criteria that but you can't challenge the sponsor if you don't have the data, right?
Yeah.
That's where the data comes into power. And you can pressure test the sponsor saying, why not this market? You picked an XYZ city in Texas, why not ABC, right? What's the difference between the two? You're getting into this conversation armed with data, right? That's an important man. Of course, as a syndicator or as an active investor, it doesn't matter again in Airbnb or whatever you want to pick. These data are good indicators of how to move forward. Right? So I would say that regardless of you use Michelle's tool or not, I would encourage you to at least explore it. Regardless of not, you need, as an investor, you want to take control of the data. You want to understand the data so that you can move forward with that. Michelle, thank you again for the very generous offer. I'm hoping that's at least the first 10 and hopefully way more, they are able to take advantage of that offer. So thank you again for offering to that, our investors, to our listeners.